Welcome to the Blind Android Users channel. This is your source for everything Android, tutorials and demos, all from a blindness perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 90 of the Blind Android Users podcast. I'm Warren Carr alongside with my co-hosts across the globe through our virtual studios. Today is Saturday, August the 27th, 2022. Coming up, we've got announcements. Then in our Android Basics segment, we return to the privacy, permissions, and account activity. Then in the spotlight, our friend John Dyer would be presenting unboxing of 3 items. The just released Samsung slew of stuff. That is the Z Fold 4, the Watch 5 Pro, and the Buds Pro 2. And we closed with my highlights from Talkback. For today's episode, I have Fidan from London, Doug Cameron, Austin Pinto, and our dear friend John Dyer, whom I've dubbed as the official BAU Samsung unboxer. Guys, welcome to episode 90. I can't believe we're up to 90, meaning we're 10 from the Centurion episode. And of course, guys, when we get to that Centurion episode, we would like all of you to participate with us. John, what's going on with you there in Virginia land?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's getting hot again here. So it's about 90 degrees. We went for a walk this morning and it was pretty miserable. With the humidity on top of the 90, it feels more like 100. But, it's good weather, so can't really complain.
That's really good. I kind of imagine, though, that we should be slowing down. We're kind of thankful we kind of slowed down here. We've been in the 90s like almost all week. And, today it looks like we're just going to be like in the lowest 70s. So quite a change. And it feels like an early fall there if you're coming from 90-degree weather and down to, going to be 71 degrees. It kind of feels like we're stepping into that early chill of an early fall. Fee, what are you cooking? I hope you're not in the garden today. That beer tent of yours, girl, needs to be put away. What's going on?
I am in the garden. It's a beautiful day. Last Saturday was also a beautiful day, but we had some annoying music from a nearby festival, and today it's lovely and peaceful. It's a beautiful day. It's 23 degrees, which I've just checked. That's about 73 in in Fahrenheit. So it's quite a nice, comfortable temperature, but I am sitting with under a sun umbrella parasol thing and a canopy. It's beautiful, really lovely out here. But it was getting really quite hot earlier in the week, and then we had lots of rain in London. But some areas in the UK didn't have as much, but we had a lot. And then there was some flooding and things. But yeah, it's nice today. And after church tomorrow, there's a picnic, and it'll be just the right weather for that. So looking forward to that.
Now tell me, you're sitting there in the garden, you have you have that margarita umbrella. You have a little something in a glass or no?
I have some fizzy elderflower drink. I thought I might have some wine or gin or something maybe later after I've done the podcast, because otherwise I'll probably get all of my words wrong.
Well, because I'm just imagining if I'm sitting under an margarita umbrella, like I call them, absolutely, there's got to be some kind of a little glass there to the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there will be a bit later on. Yeah.
Okay, girl. Hey, Cam, what's going on, bro?
Just week of like high 80s, low 90s temperatures, finally getting rain, so I'm kind of loving it. Yeah, not much else. Just keeping it calm, keeping it relaxed, and probably having a drink or partaking in some other intoxicants later on today.
Nice. Austin, is still raining in Mumbai or you guys are drying out?
No, we are actually melting. The rain is disappeared. I don't know where the rain has gone. All the rain is just disappeared. So it's nice, very, very hot, and it's really melting weather here. Apart from that, it's normal day.
Well, it's nice to be dry. I like it dry. I don't know. I don't
No,
like
I
the
like it
rain, so
rain.
nah,
I like
not
it
my kind of
cold
thing.
more than anything else.
Well, good. Well, if you're drying out, though, that means you're kind of getting cooler. I don't know.
So it's getting melting.
Okay.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean you're cooling down at all. It could mean you're getting really hot. We had that
Yeah.
recently. We had some rain and then it started to get hotter again. And people were standing out in the rain, getting completely soaked and loving it because they'd been so hot that it was just wonderful to get wet. This was a couple of weeks ago, not so much this week because it had cooled down. But yeah, the rain can actually, when it's too hot, the rain can be lovely.
I don't like the rain. I really don't like the rain. I would take a blizzard over a downpour anytime. Rain makes me cold for some reason. I don't know. So I
Oh,
never
dude,
like
I'll
rain.
take a blizzard. You going to Dairy Queen?
I would yeah, sure. I probably should go to Dairy Queen. I don't like that kind of blizzards, though.
Those are the only kind of blizzards. The other ones are like swears. Like, come on, dude. White
Yeah.
fluffy stuff should only come in a cup and be delicious. It should not come from the sky.
I like those slushies from 7-Eleven, big cup of, slushy. Thank you so much.
You're making me thirsty, bro.
Yeah, get you a drink, man. Let's now turn on to the announcements segment. Austin, do we have anything in announcements?
Yeah, we have some announcements. We want to thank some donors. Barret Bhardwaj has donated. Mario Navarro has donated. And Pamela Drake has donated quite generously. So thanks to all the donors who are supporting our cause. And Warren has got some announcements. But before that, if you use Plex to stream media, you have to change your password because there was a breach for Plex, a data breach, and people got emails to change their password. So if you have not got the email or you have not done so, please change your passwords because a lot of data was breached. So over to Warren for some giveaway, fantastic giveaway announcement.
So it was a hot cake that Pixel bought whatever that thing, earbuds. So we have another one. So just keep an ear to it because we'll give a code word for it. And so the first person to contact us, and you'll send us that info to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. So when you know what the secret code is, just email it to us at contact us at blindandroidusers.com. That's CONTACTUS at blindandroidusers.com. I think that's what we got. We now move on to the Android Basics segment. And this week we return to the privacy, permissions, and activity controls. And so we'll be discussing this. But first, I want to go in here quickly and show you an overview of the things that we're going to be talking about. And now, here's what I'm talking about. I will now navigate to this area and look at the one we're focusing on. And that's the one we mentioned. And that will be the activity control. I'll now tab on
Privacy, permissions, account activity, personal data.
I'll go ahead and tap here.
Privacy. Navigate up, button, out of list.
I will scroll toward the bottom of the phone and tap on the activity control.
Showing items 7 to 16 of 16. Activity controls. Choose the activities and info you allow Google to save.
Here is activity controls, and it talks about what it does. Now, frankly, this has a lot of items, and I do encourage people, most especially people who are data conscious or don't want Google seeing what they're doing or things like that, and all of that, you really need to go in here and customize this to your own liking, because Google lets you choose what they can access and what they cannot access, what can be stored and what should not be stored, and if it should be stored, for how long that should be stored. So again, it is important to go in here and go through these items. We're not going to be able to go into each and every one of these individually, but we show you what is here, and so that you can go in here and customize them as you want. And then after showing you, we'll discuss these items or talk about this area in general and see what our consensus or disagreements are about this area. So here, let's go in here.
Google Play Services. Close button out of list.
When you go into this area, you're presented with a screen where you need to choose the account whose activity you would like to manage. In other words, if you have 2 accounts or 3 accounts with Google and you would like to see how those things are being managed or how you go about customizing them to the way you like, then you choose that account here. I'll tap on my account, for example, and we'll take a look at what we see.
Warren Carr, warcare@gmail.com.
I'll tap here to activate my account.
Google Play Services. Navigate up button out of. Google Play Services. Navigate up button out.
Upon tapping on that, we hear Google Play Activity Services or Google Play Services. So in other words, a lot of these have to do with Google Play Services because this involves things like apps and the like. I'll put my finger down.
The data saved in your account helps give you more personalized experiences across all Google services. Choose which settings will save data in your Google account.
Next,
Safer with Google.
a heading that says Safer with Google, and below that,
You control what data gets saved to your account.
and
Learn more. Link.
you could tap on Learn More. Next,
Web and app activity.
Web and App Activity. This is a category too, and below that,
Saves your activity on Google sites and apps, including associated info like location, to give you faster searches, better recommendations, and more personalized experiences in Maps, Search, and other Google services. Learn more. Link.
and Learn More. And below that, we have 2 buttons, one to the left and one to the right. The one to the left says On,
On.
and to the right of that,
Turn off button.
Turn Off, meaning you could turn off the above mentioned stuff with app activity and web activity and things like that. Now below those 2 buttons, one to the left, the On and the Turn Off,
View all. Link.
we have a View All, meaning if you tap here, you could see all those things.
Subsettings.
And under the subsettings,
Checked. Include Chrome history and activity from sites, apps, and devices that use Google services. Checkbox.
next,
Checked. Saves your activity from apps on this device. Checkbox.
next,
Auto delete on.
Auto Delete On. And you want to keep this on because you could set as to how often or how frequently these activities should be deleted.
Button to set auto delete options.
There you go.
Link to manage related activities. Link.
Or you could tap there to manage the related activities.
Manage all web and app activity.
You could manage all the web and app activity.
Location history.
And then there's the location and history.
Saves where you go with your devices, even when you aren't using a specific Google service, to give you personalized maps, recommendations based on places you've visited, and more.
So in other words, just taking your phone around with you, even though you're not using it, something may be going on in the background.
Learn more. Link.
And you could tap there to learn more.
On.
and that is on. You don't want it?
Turn off button.
There's the turn off again. So we have those two buttons again, the on right there to the left and the turn off to the right.
Devices on this account.
And then we get to devices on your account. That's another subheader.
Collapsed. Devices on this account button.
If you tap here, you're going to see your devices. So let's just quickly go in here so that you know what I'm talking about. I'll tap here to see what I'm talking about.
Google expanded. Devices on this account button. Expanded.
And we got,
Checked. Pixel 6 Pro. This device checkbox.
there's a Pixel 6 Pro.
Pixel 4 checkbox.
There's my Pixel 4.
Checked. Moto Z3 checkbox.
Doggone, I have a Moto Z3 on there.
Pixel 3 checkbox. Checked. Nexus 6 checkbox.
You get a drift of what I'm talking about. You could see devices here that you have. Let's collapse this and go below here.
Devices on this account. Expanded. Devices on this account. Collapsed.
Now that we collapse that, let's look at what's below here.
Subsettings.
Next,
Checked. Include the YouTube videos you watch checkbox. Include the YouTube videos you checked. Include your searches on YouTube checkbox. Include your searches on YouTube. Not checked. Include YouTube voice and audio activity checkbox.
so as you can see, you can uncheck things that you don't want. Even if you have it turned on, you can uncheck individual stuff that you don't want or check individual things that you want checked.
Include YouTube voice and audio activity. Auto delete off.
And this auto delete is off. I could turn that on again and then choose how long it should be before it automatically gets deleted.
Button to set auto delete options.
There you go.
Link to manage related activities. Link. Manage history.
The next item we want to look at here will be ad personalization. In other words, you personalize how ads can be sent to you. Here's what I'm talking about.
Ad personalization.
Ad personalization.
You can make ads more useful to you.
All right.
Ad personalization is on.
And it says ad personalization is on.
Go to ad settings. Link.
And we can go in here to the settings and see how these things are personalized. Sometimes the personalization, don't be surprised to see that things that you didn't opt into, but because maybe you've been to a site or things like that, it may think that you are interested in such a thing. So let's go in here and show you what I'm talking about.
Google Play Services. Navigate up button.
I'll put my finger near the top.
Ad personalization, heading 1.
And we got,
Google makes your ads more useful on Google services such as Search or YouTube and on websites and apps that partner with Google to show ads.
next,
Learn why you're seeing an ad. Link.
next,
Ad personalization is on, heading 2. Ad personalization is on, switch. Collapsed, advanced, button.
we have the advanced, you could tap here, or next.
Google, button.
There's a Google. These ones would be coming from Google.
Adventure games, button.
Adventure games,
Android apps, button.
Android apps.
Android OS, button.
Those are the categories.
Antivirus and malware, button. Apparel, button. Apple iOS, button.
Okay, as you can get the drift here as I go through these things.
Audio and music software, button. Audio equipment, button.
Now, it's likely that I probably have typed these things or one of these things into my search history, or I have been to a page relating to these type of things, and those things get put here. And this is when sometimes we see ads that just come out of nowhere, or we see surveys that come from Google, and you kind of wonder why.
Autos and vehicles, button.
Autos and vehicles,
Banking, button.
banking,
Beauty and fitness, button.
beauty and fitness.
Books and literature button.
Okay.
Business and productivity software button.
I want to tap on one of these just for giggles. So I'll put my finger down in the middle, and so it's going to be like a lottery, which one I tap on or which one my finger lands on.
Apparel button.
I landed on apparel. I'll tap here.
Add setting. Close button.
And putting my finger down,
Apparel heading 1.
and I got
Google estimates this interest based on your activity on Google services such as search or YouTube while you were signed in.
exactly. That's what I was talking about. Next,
Manage your activity. Link.
I could tap there to manage that and say, hey, I don't want it. Or
Close button.
I can close it
Turn off button.
or say, turn it off. And of course, so if you don't like that, you turn it off. And that's what I'm talking about. And now my crew and I are going to discuss these things. And again, you guys take your time to go in here, clean up the things you don't want to be in here, and include things or keep things that you would like to keep. And that's the overview, guys. Let's talk about this area, the activity control. I think it's a very important area because as you can see, there's so many things in there. I just even touched the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, because there's so many things in there. And we do encourage people, as I indicated, to go in here and adjust things to their own liking. If you don't want to be getting ads sent to you from some women's store, or if you don't want ads sent to you from some guy's store, that kind of stuff, you need to go in here and really personalize and take things that you don't want to, turn them off and stuff like that. Guys, what are some of these areas that you find either annoying to you or something that you like? I think I like the idea that Google is giving us a lot of choices in here. Prior till now, though, if it were not for all that European stuff and the stuff also going in here in the US, everything, we didn't see these things, but now we have the ability to go in here and choose what we want. So I think I kind of like what is going on. You can turn it off.
When we're talking about personalized ads, is that for websites or apps or just anywhere where there's ads? Because that's what I wasn't sure about. I usually turn that off because I find it a bit spooky. When I've been looking something up and then I get similar ads, I'm like, oh no. And sometimes the personalized ads are hilarious. Like I was on Facebook the other week and there was an advert saying the army still needs you, and I thought, I don't think it does.
Well, you can be a chaplain. You can be a chaplain there, though, if you wanted to.
You can't. No, you can't. In the UK Army, you have to train. If you're doing anything with the army, you have to be capable to be a soldier. So I don't think the army needs me. I also don't think I need to be in the army. To be quite honest, I'm happy being a local preacher in my local churches. Really, that's I'm not sure I'd be up for the whole battles. I think that's a bit too much excitement for me. And then I had one a couple of days later that the police needed me. I thought again, I doubt it. But so are we? I mean, that was Facebook, but are we talking about, where are these ads appearing? Because that wasn't very clear to me. I would turn them off anyway. I don't mind having it keep a record of what YouTube videos I watch though, because sometimes that can be quite handy when you've seen a good video and then somebody's rung you up or something and you've forgotten all about it, and then a few days later you think, oh, what was that song, or what was that sermon or talk about whatever that I saw the other day. And if you didn't have a record of your recently viewed videos, you might not be able to find it again because there's so much stuff on there. So I don't mind having a record of the videos I've watched. I find that quite helpful. I guess if there was anything I wanted to watch that I didn't want in the in that record, I could always sign out first, and I'd probably watch it on the computer
Yeah, or go
instead.
incognito. Yeah.
Yeah, but but I find it quite helpful, especially with my studies at the moment, because part of those includes watching various videos of other people's sermons or of hymns or whatever. Because for anyone who doesn't know, I'm studying to be a local preacher, so there's quite a lot of hymns, especially, and some of them I like, and some of them not so much. But then I can add the ones I liked to my liked videos as well, and or find them again if it says watch this, and I think, oh, I've already watched this. I can find it from before. But the ads, I mean, I suppose there might be ads in YouTube as well, unless you pay for YouTube, and I'm not doing that. So too many people want your money for these things.
Going through that overview that I just went through, you
Yeah.
have the web controls, and then you have app controls. And so when if you have apps personalized, then you're basically getting things tailored to you. Like I showed that about apparel. The whole idea is
Yeah.
that if you went to a website, or maybe I don't have Facebook, for example, but if I mistakenly click on a web page belonging to Facebook or anything having to do with Facebook, I may get ads from that because Google assumes that I like that page that I just went to through that Facebook page. And so randomly, those things would come to me because I have been on Facebook. But if I don't want ads from that Facebook page, then I say, turn that off. I don't want that. Or just because I went to a certain store doesn't mean that I'm interested in women's clothing. I simply went there with my wife or whatever, and all of a sudden, so I'm getting ads from that. I don't want that. So these are the kind of stuff that people need to be on the lookout for, because you may see ads like that and you kind of wonder, why on earth or how on earth are these things coming to me? But they all come from such visits to physical stores, or from web pages that you open, or maybe there's a pop-up somewhere, and that is part of that, and Google just assumes that you like that page. And so you go in here and you want to make sure you turn those things off, and you can turn them back on if you decide later on, hey, I think I like that McFrugal's or whatever, that store, they may have some coffee in there you may want to drink. Who knows? John, have you ever been?
When you're talking about the adverts appearing on web pages when you're doing searches and things like that, are you? And or are we talking about them appearing on apps, or we just mean anywhere
It's
that you
both
could
of
get
them.
ads?
It's both of
Yeah.
them, because when you have an app that sends you ads, like free apps will send you ads. Now you can control those in here too, because if you listen to that overview that I have, you have apps as well. So if you go in there, you could target, say, hey, I don't want this ad or whatever. I don't want ads coming from here and there. But there's some of them that you can't necessarily turn off, but it's monumental, it's huge. And I don't think we have time to go into each and every one of these things. But
No.
it doesn't mean you're not going to get ads, but you can choose whether just randomize my ads, or let me kind of choose where I want ads coming from, but you will have ads regardless.
I mean, I don't normally buy things that ads show me anyway, so I don't bother with personalized ones, because I feel like if you have personalized ads, it'll be looking more closely at what you're searching to personalize those more, and maybe they'll be looking anyway because Big Brother is watching you and all that. But I don't know. I'm afraid the personalized ads, they do creep me out a little bit when they're a bit too close to what I've been looking at. I'm like, oh no, that's too weird. I don't like it, so I always turn it off.
Yeah, that reminds me of something that happened to me on Facebook a few times, actually. Now, this is unrelated because Facebook serves their own ads, but they do the same type of thing where they sort of try to track you and stuff. And I've actually got an ad for an item on eBay that is literally my eBay listing that I posted. And I'm like, I don't want to buy that. I'm selling that. So they definitely
Talk
know that
about
I've been to
crazy.
that. Yeah, they definitely know that I've been to that page because they're recommending I go back and buy the thing. So, but yeah, I think generally,
What were you selling? That's what I want to know. I'm
oh, I
curious
have no
now.
idea. I sell stuff all the time on eBay, maybe a
Oh.
phone or something like that.
I was going to say, was it a phone? Because I mean, yeah, you are interested in phones, but yeah, not your own that you don't want anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to buy it and send it to myself and pay eBay all the fees for nothing. No, thank you. I'll pass on that. But yeah, I think generally it's good that Google has this transparency. I think it can freak a lot of people out if they go in there and look like, wait, you're tracking this, you're tracking that. But overall, it's a good thing to have control over it. I personally don't mind it. I mean, it made me laugh in that one situation on Facebook, but um, if I'm going to have to sit through an ad, and I guess this applies mostly to YouTube because on web pages it's easy enough to ignore ads if they're even accessible. But generally, if I'm going to be shown an ad, it would be nice if it's something I care about, not just something completely random. But everybody feels differently about it, and that's why it's good that those controls are in there.
I just wonder how much of it is a bit of a smokescreen, though, and this is because I'm a jaded cynic. But like, I wonder whether there's still stuff tracking you anyway in the background, even if you turn these things off. But that's just me.
Well, there are always things that will track you. Even your cell towers will track
Your
you and things
ISPs
like that.
definitely track you.
Another thing that the ads are for, most especially when we have that COVID thing hit, you notice if you're using something like Google Rewards, for example, it used to be that I went down to the hardware store and I got an ad based on that. But with those things, when we were not moving around, you notice that ads or the Google Rewards things now took on a different form and shape. And so those ads that you see or pages you went to, you can also get ads or surveys from Google Rewards based on those businesses online that you've been to, and so this is part of that stuff as well. So if you want to be able to accumulate those Google Rewards, then if you don't turn that off, then you get more frequent surveys. Sometimes I get like 5 or 6 back to back. I finish one and then another comes in, and I'm like, my gosh, what's going on with this? And I'm up to like 50 whatever dollars on my Google reward. I spend it as quickly as they come, but I've kind of accumulated it a little bit for a while now. I haven't been spending much, but so that's another way to get money to buy apps that you're interested in too. At least if you're going to get ads, you might as well get something back for it, right? I mean, those peanuts.
So
Speaking
this is dollars to spend in the Play Store you're talking about.
exactly, like Google
Yeah.
Rewards, yeah.
Yeah.
We now turn on to John's unboxing of all the three: the Galaxy Fold 4, the Buds Pro 2, and the Galaxy Watch Pro 5.
Hello everyone, John Dyer here, and I have quite an unboxing for you. I just received some items from Samsung, and I want to go through them real quick and open them. I have some earbuds, a watch, and a phone. So, first gonna start off with the earbuds. Typical square box. I think I have to cut the tape into spots. Yep. So I'm opening up and see what we got here. Okay. If you've had Samsung earbuds before, it's pretty, I think it might be the same exact size as the cases I'm used to. Except it feels nicer. It's got more of a matte finish to it rather than the glossy finish, but it's the same shape. It even has the round kind of circular indentation in the bottom of it, so you could tell the bottom from the top pretty easily.
Galaxy Buds 2 Pro.
And that's them trying to connect to my phone. We can ignore that. I opened the case, that's why I did that. I'm just going to put them in and see what the fit is like. Okay, so just putting them in for a second. I like the fit so far. I mean, obviously, only time will tell, but for the size, they seem to fit pretty good.
Voice recorder.
Okay. Again, sorry about that. I think the connection dialog must have gone away. Alright, so obviously, you have to check these days, you know, to find out what else is in the box, if anything. Yes, I do have a charging cable. USB-C to USB-C, and a little box with extra tips for the earbuds, different sizes. Alright, that's that. Let's go on to the watch now. Again, gotta find the tape to cut. Where is there tape to cut? Seems like, oh, here it is. It's near the corner. Alright. Let's see if yeah, there was just, oh no, there's one on the other side. There we go. Alright, so this is a very long rectangular box. I'm going to see what's in this part first. So, in case I haven't mentioned it, those were the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro that I just unboxed. And this is the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro that I'm unboxing now. Alright. So, in this box, there's the charger. It's the usual magnetic circular charger on one end, and then USB-C on the other end. Make sure, yeah, that's USB-C. And then just set that stuff aside. Here's the watch part. Okay. It's completely, I'm assuming, yeah, that's the front. It's completely flat on the front, which I'm not used to. The bezel is raised all around it to sort of protect the screen. But yeah, it's completely flat. It's not rounded at all on the front. And I'm going to turn it on just to see what we got here. I don't know which button I'm supposed to hold. So I pressed the top one and it vibrated. Just going to wait a few seconds and then I'm going to try the 2-finger hold just out of curiosity. Let me see what else is in this box. Yeah, the band is the other thing in the box. I just got the basic sports band in black, or I think graphite, but they offer all kinds of bands. I'm just gonna
Galaxy Watch 5 Pro GHRR.
sorry again. I'm Just holding this, my 2 fingers on here to see if anything happens. Not getting anything.
Voice recorder.
Continue touching the screen
Okay.
until you hear a beep to enable accessibility mode.
So I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it seems to be working.
Talkback on.
Okay.
Welcome to Talkback.
So Talkback
Get
is on.
spoken feedback so you can use your watch without looking at the screen. Drag 2 fingers to scroll.
Okay, I'm going to
Setup.
back out of that,
Galaxy
see if I
Watch5
can
Pro GHRR.
turn this off.
Turn off button.
Okay, so that's powering off. So you can turn on accessibility from the get-go, which is good. All right, time for the Fold 4. The moment I've been waiting for. Now this is a square box because it comes unfolded. Alright. So in the top here is probably the SIM removal tool and the booklets and stuff you don't care about. Okay, here's the phone. I'm going to set it aside for a second just to see what else we got in here. Eventually, there's not going to even be a cable in here. No, I'm just kidding. So there's nothing else in the bottom there, so in the lid there must be a cable. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a cable in the lid. USB-C to USB-C. Okay. Alright, now I'm gonna peel the paper off this bad boy. Try not to be too crazy. Or maybe I should. So I don't have to wait so long. Okay. Alright. Alright. Okay. Okay, this is cool. It's unfolded now. I'm just trying to see if I can feel the crease. I honestly cannot feel the crease. That's nice. Okay. So I'll just give you a breakdown of, well, first I'll say the back has kind of a glossy sort of, not glossy, more of a matte finish to it, which is nice. It's got a little bit of grip, but not too much. Of course, the half of the back is a screen, so that of course feels like glass. So I'm going to start going along the top. I feel from the top right, going along the top, I think there's like a mic hole, the hinge in the middle, and then there's a speaker on the left side. This is all along the top. Then now going down the left side, I think there's the SIM tray near the top along the left, and everything is just blank below that. Now going across the bottom, there's a speaker on the left, then there's the hinge, USB-C port, and maybe another mic? Yeah, another mic there. And then of course along the right side there's a power button at the top. No, volume buttons at the top. Because this is a Samsung phone, not a Pixel phone. Volume buttons at the top, and then the side key under that with the fingerprint reader. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it for the first time. All right, cool. All right, I'll go ahead and turn it on. So I'm holding the side key now, and it just vibrated. I kind of like how the newer Pixels have like a vibration to let you know when it's on the boot up screen, but this doesn't have that, so I'll just wait a little longer. I'll try it now.
Press both side and Talkback on.
Okay, so
Welcome to Talkback.
got Talkback on.
Allow Talkback to make and manage phone calls. Don't allow button. Allow. Samsung Setup Wizard. Welcome.
All right, so one thing I'm going to check because
English. Start. Emergency call. Accessibility.
it's been an issue on Samsung
Accessibility. Talkback.
phones
Double
lately.
tap to act. Visibility. Not. Talkback. 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 Talkback on switch. Talkback shortcut. On Talkback settings.
I'm going to go into the settings.
Talkback settings. Sound and vibration. Speak passwords. Passwords only spoken when using headphones. Off switch 4 of 12.
Okay, so I don't know if you
Double
can
tap to activate.
hear that or not, but
On.
speak passwords was turned off, which can be
Accessible. Samsung Setup Wizard.
which can be a source of frustration if you're
Double tap
going to be putting in
activate.
passwords during
It's available.
setup.
Tap
So,
with 3 fingers to view.
and the reason you need to do it in the beginning is because
Talkback menu.
in the Talkback
Links and
menu,
lists. Read for copy. Spoke. Screen cert. Hide screen. Cancel.
see, there's no Talkback settings in the Talkback menu during setup. So
Double tap to activate.
you have to go in the
Links
Talkback settings at the very,
available.
very
Use tab
beginning
with
and turn
3
on that
fingers to view.
password, speak passwords, just to make things easier on yourself. I was hoping Samsung had fixed that, but not yet, I guess. So I'll go ahead and just go through the setup and everything and then let you know how it goes. So I went ahead and finished the setup, and I didn't have any huge issues with it. The issues I did have were related to my restoring settings. So I used Smart Switch to copy over everything from my other phone, which was around 70 gigabytes. It took about a half an hour, but when it first copied over the settings, I think when it changed the TTS engine, Talkback crashed, so I just had to use the accessibility shortcut to turn Talkback on again. So I just pressed volume up and side key and let go, and that brought Talkback back up with my Google TTS instead of Samsung TTS. The other issue I had, you probably won't have because it had to do with some weird magnifier settings that transferred over wrong and was messing up Talkback for me. But I knew what it was, so I went into the settings and fixed it. So it was I guess it was pretty smooth. I got through it. For a minute, I didn't think my home screen copied over, but it waited until all the files were completely copied over from my phone before it updated the home screen. So I had like the stock home screen for like 20 minutes at least, and I was worried everything wouldn't copy over, but in the end it did. So I was pretty happy with the process. And one more thing I just wanted to mention after having a few minutes with the device is that you can definitely feel the crease in the screen. I couldn't feel it when I first opened it, but I think it's because I hadn't actually closed the phone yet. So after having closed the phone and opening it back up and using it, I can definitely feel where the crease is. It's not anything obnoxious, like you get used to it, it doesn't bother me or anything, but just wanted to mention that you can definitely feel it. So, like I said, I just had a few minutes with it, but I'm looking forward to getting some good hands-on time with it for the next couple of days, and then I will let you guys know what I think about it.
Now, John, that was a beautiful unboxing of these things. Now that you have those things, John, what are some of the things that you've observed? I'm uh, kind of curious about, especially the watch. If you had the 4 as well, and do you notice anything different? Some people are saying, hey, there's nothing different. I don't want to get the 5 and all of that. Is there any difference? I know there's not much, but besides all that battery we've mentioned, and how tough the glass is and all of that, talk about that, and also talk about if you notice anything different about the new earbuds as well as the Z Fold 4 compared to the Z Fold 3.
Okay. So, I'll start with the watch. I haven't had the Watch 4 in a while. I pretty much got rid of it right after within a month of getting it, ended up selling it. So these could be things that they've just improved over the OS, but I'll tell you what I've noticed that's been different. Obviously, they've added Google Assistant a few months back, which is nice. It's good to have Google Assistant on there.
So, John, in other words, what you are saying is that this one out of the box, that's the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, does it come with assistant on board as to what happened in the 4 and it had to come much, much later on? Are you saying we have it right out of the box, the Google Assistant on the 5 Pro?
You can install the assistant right out of the box, but of course they have Bixby on there. So you would need to go to the Play Store and download Google Assistant. Then you can go into the settings and set it as your main assistant. And what I've found is that although Google Assistant is better at a lot of things, it can't really control the actual watch. So like you can't set screen brightness or turn on Do Not Disturb, adjust the volume using Google Assistant. You need to use Bixby for that. But the good thing is you are able to set Bixby to a long press of the home button and have Google Assistant be a double press of the home button. So you have quick access to both, and then you can choose which one you want to use for which activities, which I've been pretty happy with it. I don't know that it's much improved over what I've experienced with it last time I had Google Assistant, which was on my Fossil Gen 5. And the thing that bothered me about that is that you couldn't do routines. And I thought, this is weird. So I assumed they would have maybe made routines compatible by now, but they haven't. So like if I were to just say goodnight, it wouldn't do my bedtime routine. It turns off all the lights and locks the door, turns the AC down, all that type of thing. I'll just mention a couple other things that I've noticed about this specific watch. And that's that I don't miss the rotating bezel as much as I thought I would. So the way it's designed, the screen is completely flat and there's a physical bezel around it. Obviously it doesn't rotate, but it's raised around the edge. So it's very easy to find the edge of the phone. What I've had problems in the past on Samsung watches with the digital bezel is that I had a hard time feeling the edge of the screen because the glass kind of just wrapped around the edge of the phone. But that's not the case here. So it's easy to find. And as you're, moving your finger along it, there's some haptics to let you know how many notches it's turned, So that's good. Obviously, in the case of like Doug, who likes to use it to fidget with, you're not going to be able to do that. So that's the downside, I guess.
We take away the fidget spinner from Doug.
Exactly. I'm sad. I'm gonna hold out on buying the watches for as long as I can, just so I can keep my fidget spinner.
But tell me, John, how about the responsiveness? I'm talking about the screen reader, because some of the problems that people were talking about back then had to do with oh, the screen is not responsive enough, or whatever, the screen reader is sluggish, and that kind of stuff. What's the experience with the Watch 5 Pro?
I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't feel much different.
It doesn't
It's
feel much
still
different.
no, it's still pretty sluggish, which I mean makes sense. Same processor as before. So I mean, it might be a little bit better, but it's still a little sluggish. It's definitely usable though. I wanted to mention something else though, as far as accessibility is this. I don't know if they added this at some point, but I know it wasn't there last time I had the watch, and that's the where you can have it vibrate the time to you. That's in the accessibility options now. So if you have the screen on and you just tap with 2 fingers, it'll vibrate the hour to you. And if you double tap with 2 fingers, it'll vibrate the minutes to you. So, if you want to stealthily check the time, if you're like in a meeting or hanging out with family, and you don't want the whole room to know you're checking your time, that's actually a really nice feature to have.
Watches have done that for ages, haven't they? Or has
The
this
Apple
been
Watch
updated?
has.
No,
Yeah,
I had a Galaxy Watch about 3 years ago that did that.
well, not the Galaxy Watch that runs Wear OS. So the Galaxy Watch 4 didn't do that. They may have updated it since then, but when I had it, it didn't have that.
I had a watch before that, and it was in about 2018 or 19, and
Yeah, the
18.
before the Watch 4, Samsung used
Yeah.
their own operating system, so the features
Oh,
and stuff were different.
so they took away some features, and now they've brought them back. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And they're not the same operating system. You had a Tizen watch, and we're talking. This one is a Wear OS, powered by Wear OS. So very different, even though from the same manufacturer. But that's really neat. So my question to you guys, because I've never used that feature, actually, well, I just never see it on the Watch 4. I didn't look for it, like you said, John. So how is 12 represented? By via the
It would be
vibrate.
one long press and then 2 short, or one long vibration and 2 short vibrations. So for
Oh,
10, if it's 10, it'll be a long vibration. So like if you're doing want to find the minutes and it's 36, it'll vibrate 3 long vibrations and then 6 short vibrations.
oh my goodness. So if it's 9 o'clock, for example, I'll have 9 vibrations,
Yeah, short
Yep.
ones.
short ones.
But yeah, 9 is the longest number.
You
that,
want the
yeah.
long one, fee, like a long
Yeah.
vibration for the 12 and the 10.
Yes, Warren.
Okay, because really that's a very interesting, unique idea, because I'd never had an experience with that. So I'm kind of fascinated by that. I think that really helps in the sense that you don't want anyone to know you're looking at the time. That really comes in handy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I like that. Now, how about the phone?
Okay, so the
The
phone.
Z Fold, yeah.
So I really like it. I haven't had any accessibility issues besides just one weird thing with the Best Buy app. But that I also had that on my Z Flip 3 from last year. So it's just something weird where it doesn't let you touch the top part of the screen. But that's the only app I've had that issue in. And it only happens on the external display. So if I open the phone, it works fine. But overall, the phone I really like having that extra screen real estate when I open it up. It's the cool thing is, and it took me a day or two to discover this, but so by default, when you open it up into the tablet mode, it changes the app to the tablet version of the app. So for an example, if you're in a messaging app, it'll make the list of all your conversations be on the left side, and then the actual conversation that's active, be on the right side of the screen. So it kind of gives you like a split screen experience in that one app. But what I've found is that in the display settings, you can disable that and just have it just give me the regular phone app, even when I'm using the large screen. And that actually, I love that because you have so much more screen real estate. And like if I'm using Telegram, for example, I have to do way less scrolling like through the conversation because, if somebody leaves a long message that's like 20 lines, on this super big screen, it's only going to be like not even 10 lines long, so it's a lot less scrolling that you have to do, which I'm really enjoying that. And because I have low vision, I also just enjoy the larger screen. If I'm really trying to see something, I can just open it up and use the magnifier and try to make something out if I need to, or I'm watching a YouTube video or something like that. It's definitely nice to have it there. And it works for the most part like a regular phone when it's closed. And one of the best features, in my opinion, is the fingerprint sensor not being in the screen, because you guys have heard me say I'm not a fan of those. So I like having the fingerprint sensor in the button. That's been nice.
You know what I really like, though, that you mentioned a little while ago there, John, it has to be that the fact that when you open up, unfold the whole thing, some of the apps, become like a tablet mode. And I really like that. And talking about messaging, I would love to have something like that, where I have these things on the left and these things on the right. Like I like using my things like in a grid, like for example when I'm on, say, Google Drive or whatever. I don't like having things in a list mode, like most people like to. I kind of prefer my stuff on that grid. And so hearing this, I would love it. And if I'm going to get this type of thing, it would be primarily because of this function that you just made. And most especially, Google has optimized things to work better now with tablets, and Samsung just all over it, and I like that. So I think you're making me I thought I wasn't ready for the fold, but I don't know, I may have to think twice. I may
How
want
much
one just
memory?
for giggles.
How much memory does this phone have, and can you put a memory card in? I'm guessing probably you
There,
can't do that.
no, you can't put a memory card in, and this one I got is 512 gigabytes.
Well,
But
that's
it
quite
comes,
good amount of memory.
yeah, the base model comes in 256, and you have the option to upgrade to 512 or 1 terabyte if you want to.
Oh wow, not bad.
So I would be going for the 1 terabyte if I'm getting one.
You
You
would.
know me.
Of course you would.
My gosh, that's such a beautiful thing. My wife fell in love with the Z Fold 3, and so we're gonna go to the store. She might want to get one of these, and I get to play with it. Who knows?
Nice.
Yeah. And so, how about the earbuds? Anything you notice comparing it to your Sony Link S? Do you find them comparable, or or you prefer the Sony over this, or you prefer the one from Samsung over the Sony?
So I'm going to come at this from a screen reader user perspective, because you can find anyone tell you like what sound quality is better and all this stuff. But I've had this weird issue with them where they become out of sync with each other, and when you're using a screen reader, it kind of sounds like robotic and echoey because they're not quite in sync with each other. And now when where you're playing media, it's fine. They're perfectly in sync. But it's like when you're not playing media, they kind of get lazy. Like, I don't know if they're trying to save battery or what, but they just have a problem staying in sync. And it's something that occurs like every few minutes. It's only for like 2 or 3 seconds, but it's enough to annoy me. And um, so that's kind of dampened the experience for me. I mean,
That
overall,
sounds
they're good.
really annoying.
Yeah,
Actually,
and that's why I wanted to point it out, because this is something you're not going to see in a typical review, because like I said, when media's playing, they work perfectly fine.
I wonder, is this a Bluetooth Low Energy or is this a Bluetooth 5.2 issue? Because, I mean, if they're losing sync, one can foresee that it's probably a Bluetooth issue somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what is going on here, though, I think they are not translating your screen reader it's not prioritized as a music. I think that's the problem that's
Exactly.
going on here. It's not that there's any problem with the Bluetooth codec or whatever that is using. It's that screen reader is not seen as music, and I think that's an interesting thing that maybe they need to know about. But as you indicated, though, that only happens like some few seconds, or it's not an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have music going on and all I'm doing is using my phone with my screen reader, it's not like a perpetual thing that sounds like that. But it happens like when you transition from like music to your screen reader. Is that what the case is?
So it's like, I don't know what causes it, but it just like, say you're not playing any media and you're just using your screen reader. Every few minutes it'll happen for a couple seconds. Now you can still hear it and understand it, so it doesn't like prevent me from doing anything, but it's just something that annoys me. So I wanted to point it out. But other than that, I think I'm still gonna go back to my LinkBuds S because I love those. I mean, they've been my favorite earbuds I think that I've ever used. They're just so light and comfortable, and the latency is the lowest that I've ever used on some earbuds. The latency on this is not bad either. I'd say that the latency on these is less than what you'd find on like Pixel Buds, but I don't think it's as good as what you would find on the Sony headphones.
What about noise cancelling? Do these have noise cancelling or not?
Yes, they have noise canceling and it works pretty good. I'd say that about on par with my Sony's, what I'm used to. But I'll also mention the ambient mode, which is like the pass through, because I use that a lot because I want to be aware of my surroundings in most cases, and it works okay. But if you turn it up too high, it sounds bad. Like you'll still be able to hear things, but they'll sound weird. So again, I prefer the pass through mode on my Sony headphones, but this is there and it does work.
Yeah, because I have some Sony ones that SW somethings with noise cancelling, and they are very handy. Noise cancelling can be really important if you're using a screen reader, especially, and you have to travel on the. I often have to travel on the underground, and if you're going in tunnels, they're very noisy. Those trains, it's very, very loud. Like it can hurt your ears sometimes. It's so loud. So if you're trying to hear your screen reader, or your book that you're reading or whatever, then noise cancelling is really important, and that works well. And I don't know whether the Samsung buds have this, but on my Sony, I can touch one of the buds and it'll temporarily put the ambient mode on so that I can hear the announcement of the next station or whatever it is, and then take my hand away, and that stops. That's quite handy as well.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if you
like
can
that
do that on the
feature.
Samsung. Does the Samsung one have that or not?
So on the Samsung, you have to toggle between. So you'd press and hold and let go, and then you would be in ambient mode, and then you have to do it again to go back. So it doesn't have the temporary version of it that you're talking about with the Sonys, but you can toggle back and forth easily.
Now how long does it last? How long do they last? The battery, or have you not had it long enough yet, really?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Back to the screen reader issue, I'm kind of thinking that probably because it's not, like I said, I think it's not considering it to be, music or whatever, or maybe it's kind of putting the whatever to sleep. I don't know. But if it's not like an ongoing thing, that's not too bad. But I really appreciate you talking about this, because then it kind of helps people to know whether they want this or not and things like that. And if one thinks that such a thing could be a problem or something that perturbs them, then probably that may not be the choice to go for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I looked for a firmware update. There isn't one now, but if I get one and the issue's fixed, I will definitely let you guys know, either mailing list or Telegram group.
And probably this is something that one could also report to Samsung, for screen readers, because I think it's important for them to know what's going on. And if there's a way to correct that, that should be corrected.
So I know you said this would be covered in other reviews, but talking about the earbuds, how is the sound compared to your Sony? And also, how is the sound on your phone's speakers as well? How good is that? How would you describe it?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I'll actually do the phone first because I wanted to bring that up and I forgot. I love the speakers on this thing, and it's because typically in a phone you have stereo speakers, but they're kind of weird stereo because one is downward facing and the other one is forward facing because it's like combined with the earpiece. But on this phone, you have two full, one's downward facing and one's upward facing. So like if you're holding it in landscape or if you have it open and you're holding it in landscape, like you have like two equally powerful speakers, which are actually really nice. I love the speakers on this thing. And as far as the earbuds, I I would say they're really good. They're right. So I don't know how people can say like they have a problem with either the Sony Link Buds S, the Pixel Buds Pro, and these Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. I think they're all really great. They're pretty comparable to each other. I even did a test where I'd put one in each ear and compare, like play the same song and try to tell the difference, and I couldn't really tell much of a difference. So I think you can't really go wrong with either of those three sets of earbuds.
I just thought I'd check that because, for example, sometimes with some brands of earbuds, people say, "Oh no, they've got too much bass" or things like that, So, or "Oh, the treble's a bit tinny" or something like that. So I'm glad you've got them. Glad they all sound nice.
Yeah, I liked them.
That's really beautiful. SW, that's our code to give away those earbuds. And I really like that, John. It's a beautiful sounding thing from your description. And I like that fold that you talked about the speakers. If it has its own arrangement, a little bit different, like you just described, apart from that of the flip. Yeah, this sounds like it's a better sounding machine. And thank you so much, John, for all that review and for coming back to talk about your observations after the unboxing and all of that. And I think this is really key because it kind of helps people to know what to do and what not to do, or what to get and what not to get, depending on what they want or what their needs are. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to come on, and I had fun sharing it with all you guys. So thanks for having me.
We now conclude today's episode with our Talkback highlights. And here comes Talkback highlights. We continue now with our theme of highlights from Talkback. This is installment 50. With this installment, we now conclude the highlights from Talkback. In our last installment 49, we saw the swiping down with 4 fingers to move to the previous window. For today's demonstration, I will be using my Pixel 6 Pro with Android 13 and Talkback 13.0. I am on the home screen, and for nostalgia's sake, instead of tapping with 3 fingers to invoke the Talkback menu, I will be using the swiping down with 1 finger and curving to the right to bring up my Talkback menu. I will now swipe down and curve to the right to invoke the Talkback menu.
Talkback menu. Actions in list.
I am in the Talkback menu. The item I'm looking for next will be the Talkback settings. I will put my finger down and tap on Talkback settings.
Talkback settings.
Here is Talkback settings. I'm tapping here to activate the Talkback settings.
Talkback settings. Navigate up button out of list.
I am now in the Talkback settings. Now again, if your phone is not tall enough, you would need to scroll down this screen, and you scroll down the screen by putting 2 fingers in the middle of the phone and gliding those fingers upward, and that in turn scrolls down the screen or scrolls down the page. Because I have a tall enough of a phone, I am simply putting my finger toward the bottom part of the phone, and therein is the item we're after, and that will be Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures.
Here is Customize Gestures. I will tap here to activate this item.
Customize gestures out of list.
We are now on the customization page of the gestures. This is now the time for us to change our granularity, and if you've been following us in this series of Talkback Highlights, then you are familiar with the fact that we will now switch to the heading granularity. As I've indicated time and time again, we've got one of 3 methods through which we can change the granularity. In other words, change the mode that we are in, whether you are in a word mode, line mode, paragraph mode, or whatever. We need to switch that granularity now to the heading granularity. The first method that I prefer is that scrubbing up and down with 1 finger in one fluid movement to change the granularity. The second and third ones would be to either swipe down with 3 fingers, swipe from left to right with 3 fingers, or swipe from right to left with 3 fingers. So basically, when it's all said and done, we really absolutely have 2 methods of changing the granularities, either using the 1 finger gesture or using the 3 finger gestures by swiping down, swiping from left to right, or swiping from right to left. I am optimistic that mine is already set to the heading granularity, and once you find that heading granularity, now what we need to do is simply swipe down with 1 finger and keep swiping with 1 finger till we get to the desired heading. I will now swipe down with 1 finger until we get to the 4-finger heading. Here I go.
1 finger, heading, in list.
I'll swipe down again.
1 finger back and forth, heading.
Swipe down.
1 finger angle, heading. Showing items 7 to 17 of 51.
And remember, I am simply swiping with 1 finger. Swipe down again.
2 fingers, heading. Showing items 17 to 26 of 51.
I am now to the 2-finger heading. Swipe down again.
3 fingers, heading. Showing items 26 to 36 of 51.
We are now down to the 3-finger heading, and 1 more swipe, and that will place us on the 4-finger heading, and that's the heading we're after. I will now swipe to the 4-finger heading.
4 fingers, heading.
There is our 4-finger heading. And for revision's sake, let's go through all the gestures of the 4-finger heading, and then we'll pick it up from there with the last 2 items that we're going to be talking about. Here are the ones that we have gone through so far.
Tap with 4 fingers, practice gestures.
Next.
Double tap with 4 fingers, open tutorial. Showing items 36 to 45 of 51.
Next.
Double tap and hold with 4 fingers, pass-through system gesture. Showing items 42 to 51 of 51.
Next.
Triple tap with 4 fingers, tap to assign.
Next.
Swipe up with 4 fingers, previous window.
And the one we saw last week in installment 49 was...
Swipe down with 4 fingers, next window.
And now for today's, we've got these 2 that we're going to look into. And these are unassigned gestures. The first one is...
Swipe left with 4 fingers, tap to assign.
Swipe left with 4 fingers, unassigned. In other words, what we're talking about here is that this gesture has not been assigned. So we could choose to assign this to do whatever gesture it is that we want to use when we swipe left with 4 fingers. The last item would be
Swipe right with 4 fingers, tap to assign.
swipe right with 4 fingers, just like swiping left with 4 fingers, is unassigned. Now, what this means is that whether I tap on swipe right with 4 fingers unassigned or swipe left with 4 fingers unassigned, I could go choose whatever action or gestures I would like this to help me do. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll bring it to a close. I'll tap here.
Swipe right with 4 fingers. Checked, tap to assign, in list. Showing items 1 to 16 of 56.
We are told swipe right with 4 fingers, tap to assigned. And if I go back and tap on the swipe left with 4 fingers, we will hear the same thing. And so what happens is that you could go through the different items or through the different gestures or actions that you could like to reassign this gesture to. So for instance, if I go back to the top of the screen and I go swiping down with 1 finger through the headings, we got
Basic navigation, heading.
So you could choose to use that for one of these basic navigations. And one of the basic navigations or some of this basic navigation will include some of the following.
Tap.
You could use that to tap. In other words, if you don't want to tap or you have some dexterity issues with tapping, then you could set the 4-finger swiping right, and that will activate a tap when you are on an item. The next item.
Touch and hold.
Touch and hold. And this has to do with what we refer to as long pressing. In other words, when you find an icon or an item, you double tap and hold, and that brings up the menu. So think of it like the right clicking of a desktop icon, which brings up the contextual menu and things like that. Next.
Previous item.
Or you could assign it to when I swipe from right to left to do the previous item. Let's move to what else we see next under the next heading.
System actions, heading. Showing items 16 to 32 of 56.
System actions. In other words, you could reassign this gesture to perform one of these system actions. And when we talk about system actions, we're talking about things like whether you're pulling down a notification shade or you're going home and things like that. These are called system navigations. And here are some of the examples. I'll now swipe from left to right with 1 finger to go through some of these items.
Home.
There's home. So if you want to swipe from the right to the left with 4 fingers to go home, then you could tap here to assign that to it. Next.
Back.
Or the back gesture. Next.
Overview.
Overview. Well, by now you understand or have gotten the drift as to what it means to reassign a gesture. I could even go on. Let's look at the next heading.
Reading, heading.
You could also use it for reading purposes, and some of these reading gestures would include some of the following.
Read from top.
You could decide to assign the 4-finger swiping right to perform the read from top. And if that's what you want, you simply tap here, and that will assign it to the read from top. I'll show you what I mean. I'll tap here just for giggles.
Talkback settings. Swipe right with 4 fingers, read from top, in list.
Now,
items
of
42 to
unassigned, it now tells me that swiping right with 4 fingers will do the read from top. I'll go back though and change it to the unassigned. And how you go about changing it back to unassigned, you simply tap here.
Swipe right with 4 fingers. Checked, read from top, in list. Showing items 27 to 42 of 56.
All that needs to happen to put it back to what it was which was a tap to assign, is to move back toward the top of the screen. And there, the first item there would be the tap to assign. I'll move back to the top. I'll now put my finger near the top.
Tap to assign.
And there is the tap to assign. I tap here.
Talkback settings. Swipe right with 4 fingers. Tap to assign in list.
And we're
Showing items
back
42
to
51.
tap to assign. So that's how you go about assigning an unassigned gesture to something you wanted to. And if you want to set it back to the unassigned gesture, that's how you go about reassigning it to the unassigned gesture. And as I said, this concludes our Talkback highlights. And I do want to thank you so much for going through these highlights from Talkback throughout these episodes. We'll be back again when new things arrive in Talkback, or whenever we feel the need of revising these things with changes that may be coming to Talkback. And now, on behalf of the podcast crew of Blind Android Users Podcast, I would like to thank you all for going through these gestures with us. And this concludes our gestures. And that concludes today's episode. However, Austin, give people a way to contact us, would you?
For people to locate us, they can email us with their questions or feedback or comments or recording submissions to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. They can browse our website, blindandroidusers.com. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/blindandroidusers. Subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. The links for Telegram and Twitter, Clubhouse will be in the show notes with all the other links. So that is it from us this week.
Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you so much for all that you do. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And from me, it's goodbye.
Later.
Bye. Keep
Bye.
giving it good vibrations.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to another clip from the Blind Android Users channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of every new material that we upload. Thanks again for listening to the Blind Android Users channel.